Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Kill, look, we got to talk about Terminator, and specifically not just the franchise, but Dark Fate, of
Okay.
course, the last in the series, and
Mhm.
also some of the interesting things we've heard. The behind the scenes with James Cameron. Obviously, Avatar 2 just got released, and so there's been some talks about him maybe returning to the Terminator franchise. Um, let's start with Dark Fate, man. I mean, obviously we did the review on it, a really cool deep dive discussion on the movie. It's very divisive in the fan base. Just as a kind of like a recap, what are your thoughts on the movie and like what it meant to the franchise, be it good or bad?
Well, I like the movie, but I definitely can see some people kind of saying, "Oh, they're just kind of resting on their laurels, or they're retreading, old ground." And
Hmm.
I kind of feel they did a little bit of both. They added some very new, interesting twists to the whole, Terminator universe, but then they went into that bag of tricks and like, oh, we're gonna pull out Arnold, and then my fan favorite, which I'm not complaining, pull Sarah Connor back out.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
which longtime fans like us, I'm sure we did appreciate that. But
Hmm.
I could see those things, as much as we like them, they also could be hindering, forward progress,
Right,
for this
right, right,
franchise.
right. Um, it's funny because I've seen Dark Fate, a handful of times. Um, and I enjoy it. I enjoy
Yeah.
it, and I kind of take it for what it is. But as we know, James Cameron, there was a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on with James Cameron and Tim Miller, as far as the direction of the movie. And one thing that was really interesting is that, James Cameron had said that he had a couple of things he said had to happen in order for him to be involved as the executive producer, and one of the things was he had to have Arnold in the movie, and that was kind of a tug of war point, with him and Tim Miller, because the way Cameron had worded it, and this was in an interview, he said, you know him and Arnold had been friends for 40 years. And he said he could see it right now, Arnold coming up to him saying, I can't believe you did a Terminator movie without me. So he wanted Arnold involved in it out of loyalty and friendship. And then, of course, then Tim Miller is like, well, if we got Arnold in it, we got to have Linda Hamilton. So, of course, James Cameron and Linda Hamilton, they were married for a while. And so he kind of went to her and gave her the big pitch, and ultimately won her over to return. But his idea was that it was not your Terminator or your father's Terminator, but it was your grandfather's Terminator, is what he was quoted as saying.
Are we that old?
Well, hey man, I'm just saying, man, that's how he
Yeah.
worded it. But I mean,
Hmm.
what do you think about that, as far as his talking point of saying we got to have Arnold in it if I'm going to be a part of this?
Well, okay, I'm of two minds on here. Especially on this channel, we love James Cameron,
Yeah,
love his works, love his genius, love, he's a visionary.
right.
But in that same regards, it seems like when it comes to the Terminator franchise, we can't always believe things that James says. Because
Right, right.
which Terminator movie was it where he was just like, "Oh, this is the best one since two"? Was that for
I
Salvation or Genesis?
I think it was for
I,
Genesis.
th- I think it was for Genesis
Yes.
as well, and you got to take that with a grain of salt.
Right.
But what's interesting is these legacy sci-fi franchises, and I'm talking the Terminators, the Predators, the Aliens, hell,
Mhm.
even throw RoboCop in there, that have been around, since the 80s or maybe even
Right.
earlier, like Alien. You have to shake up the formula.
You do.
And as with Alien, as much as we love Sigourney, they've tried to move on, and with varying signs of success.
Hmm.
Predator, most recently with Prey, which was
Yep.
amazing, going in a different
Yep.
direction. And they've
Hmm.
pulled away from Arnold in those ever since the first movie.
Right.
When
Right.
it comes to this franchise, this is the franchise, in my opinion, that truly made Arnold the blockbuster, star that we know.
Right.
And I know it's his baby, him and James. I get all that, and I get that loyalty.
Hmm.
But you do have to kind of have a come to Jesus moment where you really talk, do I want to do good for this franchise, or do I want to do
Hmm.
good for my friend who might be a fan?
Right. Yeah.
And then on top of that, the suits, behind the scenes, do you need James Cameron, his name in the credits, for a Terminator
Right.
movie?
Hmm.
Is that the only thing that'll get butts in the seats? Executive
Hmm.
producer James Cameron. So I don't
Right.
know, but I
Yeah.
do feel, as much as I love this franchise and you as well, they
Yeah.
have to do something new. And
Yeah.
this might be blasphemous, but they may have to pull away from Arnold. Arnold can't just keep, being in these movies as much as we
Right.
love Arnold.
Right. Right. I mean, well, here's the other thing, and then I
Mhm.
think we can get to the main topic is where is this franchise right now? But James Cameron has been approached about being involved or directing a new Terminator movie. He said that he's been approached, but nothing is set up or done or in concrete. But his big thing was if he were to relaunch this franchise or dive back into this franchise, that he said instead of doing a movie about killer robots gone crazy, that he would air more to the idea of AI, and all the possibilities with AI. Now, first of all, tell me what you think about that, because it's just interesting hearing him say that, number one. But what do you think?
It's an interesting premise, and being the way that technology is going now with
Hmm.
our Alexas and our
Right.
iPhones and Android phones, AI seems like the evolutionary step. It seems like the
Hmm.
next logical move.
Hmm.
um but as much as I would like to see James Cameron, come back to directing a
Hmm.
Terminator movie, I don't really see him doing that. I've even heard
Mm.
him quoted as saying he'd like to finish the rest of his life making Avatar movies.
Hmm.
You
Right.
know,
Yeah, I've heard
and
that too.
and I also just see it as, he's not a dumb man. He knows even if he comes back to Terminator and he directs it, you're not going to satisfy the fan base, you
Right.
know, because there are going to be some people that, like us, that might say, "Oh, you did this and you brought back this person. Great, I love it." Then you're going
Hmm.
to have some other people that might be our same age or younger that's just kind of like, "Oh, you didn't do anything different," or the younger fan base like, "I don't see what all the hubbub is about."
Right. Right. Right.
So it's
Yeah.
like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing with any of these legacy franchises, whether you're talking about, Alien, Terminator, Predator, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, Hellraiser, the list goes on and on and on. You really at some point you kind of have to read the writing on the wall, because how long can you keep going on with these stories? Now, if you have a movie or a franchise that really has a huge lane, like its mythology is huge, and you can really be creative and move around enough in that, then yeah, that's a possibility. But a lot of these franchises, you just get to the point where they have tried pretty much everything they can do, and the only course left is to do something that's very different. And sometimes, like you said, that can be kind of a cool thing, but a lot of times you alienate the fan base. But when I heard him say, okay, well, let's kind of think of it more about AI, it sounds cool, but at the same time, how different would it be? You know what I'm saying? Because every Terminator movie is literally about, a robot or cyborg, whatever you want to call it, coming. Yeah, it's a robot. Coming after someone, chasing someone throughout the movie, and they have to be defended by a human, another robot, or whatever. That's basically the storyline for these movies. So you know, like I said, I'm kind of two minds of it. The one thing that did come to my mind that sounded kind of cool was, if he goes down the AI route, maybe they can open up things to maybe capture some of the magic of things we've already seen and really dig, like Westworld, or
Mhm.
something like that. Maybe add some of that type of flavor into a Terminator package. You know what I'm saying? That could be interesting,
Yeah.
and he definitely is a visionary type director that could do it. But man, I'm telling you, when you really sit back and think about this franchise, it's kind of like maybe it's time, dude. Maybe it's just time to hang it up and flip off that off switch to Skynet. Just say, let's let's enjoy these, 35 years of movies and just move on to something else. I mean,
But there's still money to be made, and if there's
yeah,
even a chance money can be made,
right,
they're
right.
gonna try to make it. But one other point I'll bring to that is look at what Halloween did with the latest trilogy.
Right.
They said, okay, we're gonna just take it back. 2018 Halloween. Halloween kills, Halloween ends. We have a story. It fits into the timeline,
Hmm.
and we're gonna just tell this 3 arc story.
Hmm.
Terminator could do something like that. Terminator
Yeah.
kills, Terminator ends.
Right, right, right,
And
right.
but the biggest thing is to try to do something different. And love it
Yeah.
or hate it, Halloween kills and Halloween ends. They did do things different, especially Halloween ends.
Right.
Where some of the fan base loved it, some hated it, and some were kind of indifferent.
Right. Right.
But you can't take away that they did try to do something different.
Right.
And the issue that I'm seeing, and luckily I can take Predator off of this list now of the Trinity here: Terminator, Alien, and Predator. Predator, you done good. Alien, we're waiting to see what you're gonna do. But
Right.
what Alien and Terminator have to do is they got to shake it up. They got to shake it up more than what they're doing.
Hmm.
More than the Prometheuses and stuff like that, and just really take a chance and just believe that the loyal fan base like us that have been around pretty much since the beginning of this are
Hmm.
willing to still ride with them and see something new and
Right.
progress it. Star Wars, I'm looking at you too. Shake it up.
Yeah. Well, that's true too, man. But I mean, and you're right. If that can be done, if they can have the right creative team to develop something,
Yes.
but like I said, man, and I'm being honest, I've been thinking about this a little bit, well, actually quite a bit, when we decided we were going to do this conversation, and man, I don't know, man, it might just be time. It just might be time for it to be over for Terminator, unless, and here's the idea I wanted to propose, unless they do something where they change the mythology, which in the Terminator universe could work because we've seen multiple timelines or altered timelines and so forth, but they would have to change it in a more drastic way than they did in Genesis. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because in Genesis, they changed it, and same thing in Dark Fate. It was changed, but it was still basically the same thing we saw, in the story arc of the Terminator and Terminator 2, Judgment Day. I think they should change it to something where, I don't know, but just change it in a way where it opens up more possibilities. Now, if they did that, I think the franchise could carry on. But I don't know. I don't know if they're creative enough to do that, or want to take the risk to do that.
Well, it's interesting. Speaking on that, there are 2 franchises that I can think of currently that were brave enough to just start it up again and do
Mhm.
something different. They're both science fiction ones, and one of them I still think, and you'll probably know once I say this, is the best trilogy that no one talks about, and I'm talking about Planet of the Apes.
Mhm. Mhm.
Planet of the Apes came back. They
Mhm.
changed up kind of some of the story of how things happened. They
Right.
progressed it. Great special effects, great motion capture.
Mhm.
Did a great job on those, and no one talks about them, which is a travesty. And then
It
the next
is.
one is a very sacred science fiction property, and I'm talking about Star Trek, the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies.
Mhm.
You know, they recasted legacy characters, even brought
Yep.
back in some old legacy characters, which
Mhm.
was really awesome.
Mhm.
And they did a pretty good job with those three movies, and no one talks about those.
Right,
But
right.
they at least tried to spark up a new, universe for these, and
Right.
there is a new Planet of the Apes movie coming, which I'm happy to hear that. You
Right.
don't hear too much about another Star Trek movie,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Right.
but but still, they did it, and
Right.
to varying success. But I think both of those, titles, those franchises and those movies, made decent money.
Right.
So I just feel as it stands, and this might just be, wrong to say, but you got to get away from James Cameron. You got to get away from James Cameron, get another visionary science fiction director,
Mhm.
to maybe helm it. Another director that grew up like us, idolizing James Cameron and this beautiful universe he helped to cultivate,
Yeah.
and let them run with it. You don't need his hand guiding it. You need to
Right.
think outside the box and
Right,
do new
right, right.
things.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what, man. I personally, unless I actually see that happening, I don't think it's gonna happen. And I really do think this franchise is pretty much it's dormant or it's dead as of right now because
Yeah.
I think Dark Fate, as much as we enjoyed it, and there were a lot of great things about it, that's the thing that's kind of frustrating. There were some good things about it, but a lot of people were frustrated by certain things, especially John Connor's fate and stuff like that. um but I think Dark Fate was pretty much that nail in the coffin. And although they've approached James to relaunch it, I don't know if he really wants to go back down that road.
He
He and he
doesn't.
def and he definitely can't do it right now because he's in the middle of doing 80,000 Avatar movies, and so so I mean, I don't see him coming back, unless I'm proven otherwise. And I just think I think that what I think is going to happen. This franchise is going to be dormant for a long time, and then at some point down the road, this could be years from now, they're going to remake it or do something in the universe and have a more fresh take.
Mhm.
I think that's what's going to happen. And I'll be honest, I'm not opposed to that. I really am not,
Yeah.
because I think once they did Genesis, I think that was really a turning point in the wrong direction. And again, Genesis had some good things in it. We talked ad nauseum
Mhm.
about Genesis. We did an episode on it and so forth. But I think once we saw where they were going with Genesis, it was kind of like, guys, we're basically pinning ourselves in a corner. And it's too bad because I think as much as Salvation kind of turned a lot of people off, I think they were at least trying to go in a direction where, okay, now we're finally in the future. Now we're going to kind of see the war from that perspective,
Right.
and, some new angles and character arcs and new characters and so forth. The only problem, I thought, and we talked about that as well, because we've talked about every Terminator movie, is I think the casting wasn't what it should have been, but we
Well,
just we didn't get it.
one thing that I think the first Terminator movie had that
Hmm.
none of the other ones had was the first Terminator movie can definitely be seen as a straight up horror movie.
Oh yeah,
I
it's a
mean,
slasher. It's a slasher
yeah,
movie.
yeah, it's 80s Los Angeles. It's sleazy, it's gritty, it's dirty, it's wet, it's nighttime,
Hmm.
and you have this guy, or at least you think he's a guy at first, that's relentless, and
Right.
he's just murdering dozens of people, anyone that gets in his way. It's trying,
Hmm.
and stalking this one woman. And it's just something that was just a perfect storm. The score, the acting, the action, the cinematography,
Hmm.
the settings, the costumes, you name it. Once you get past that first Terminator movie, and not that it's a bad thing, but it's Actionville.
Right.
You know, it's big
Right. Right.
motorcycle chases, truck chases, construction
Yeah.
vehicles. It's bombastic, it's big, it's blowing up
Yeah.
helicopters, so I would love for like a horror director that can also direct good action to take it and redo the Terminator, recast the way the Terminator looks. Maybe go with the original thought of that. You remember how originally they wanted Lance Hendrickson to be the Terminator. You know, maybe don't go with another really big, you know, Dwayne Johnson kind of guy. Get a Robert Patrick build, you know, or get a woman, you know, whatever. Change it up, but get someone that can actually just blend in. You know, this is a stealth mission. This is a stealth, you know, kind of thing. So you don't want infiltration that big guy. Yeah, it's an infiltration unit. You don't want Arnold, you know, because he stands out a little bit too much. You know, you know, but make it horror, make it scary. You know,
I agree. So, I mean, that would be a good way for them to go. You know, whether or not they have the type of foresight that would take them there. Oof, I don't know.
Maybe also make it some sort of a bottleneck movie. Make it so that, like, instead of you know, Sarah or whoever the Terminator's trying to kill, you know, they can just get in a Jeep and drive to Mexico or drive across the country. Make it like, oh man, we're stuck in this area, this place, because there's, you know, some sort of crazy storm outside or something that's trapping us here.
You know, that would be cool. That would be cool, man. Well, anyways, man, that's about all we got for our, you know, Terminator discussion, the death of the Terminator franchise. Thank you, Dark Fate. But not to say it's a horrible movie, but I just think that it put the nail in the coffin.
But isn't that a fitting title, Dark Fate? I mean, think about it. Like, did you guys really? Did you not think about this?
Right. You're all right, man. All right. So, anyways, for you guys watching, definitely let us know what you think in the comment section down below. Is the Terminator franchise dead to you? And if so, why? And if not, how? Let us know in the comment section. Please give the video a like. It will help support us. We'd appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the Night Watch Zone, what are you doing? This is the time to do it. And we've got a lot of conversations that are going to be really cool, covering anything and everything, whether it's horror, Terminator, action, whatever. So we'll catch you guys later. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace.
Peace.